I made my boyfriend feel like I was afraid of him. Ada, I am new to posting on Reddit, but I do need advice. I F34 have been in a relationship with Finn M47 for a little over a year. I live on my own and he lives on his own, but occasionally I spend the night at his place. Finn is handsome, fit, funny, and charitable. His kindness was what caught my attention. He was just a very thoughtful and kind man, and I love that about him. I have struggled with PTSD, so I don't feel comfortable with intimacy until I feel safe and trust that person. Finn said he understood and didn't press it. We didn't start getting intimate until 2 months in, but I was pretty drunk, so I was upset the next morning, and he comforted me. He didn't get angry or blame me at all. After that, we had a healthy, intimate life. I was adamant he wore protection every time. Once while we were in the middle of playtime, he asked if he could take the rubber off. I said no, and he said that it wasn't feeling good to him and he was unable to climax with one on. I said no again. Afterwards, he didn't cuddle or hold me like he always did and said nothing to me. I got up to get water, asked if he needed anything, and leaned over to kiss his cheek. He shied away from my kiss and muttered, "Oh, now you care about me?" I asked him what that was about, and he told me he bends over backwards to make me happy, but he didn't get to feel good because I won't let him not wear a rubber. I told him I was very worried about pregnancy. I live in a place where abortions are complicated. He said I am on birth control, so what's the issue? I said that's not 100%, and he knew it. I grabbed him water and told him that if he got a vasectomy, we could talk. They are reversible and accessible. I cannot get pregnant. We didn't discuss it again, and he even apologized for being a jerk the very next morning and took me to the spa. I apologized for ruining the night, and he said it was all right and we kind of moved on. Everything was great, and around the 6-month mark, he said he thinks we are getting serious and that he considers me his partner and asked about the rubbers again. I reminded him of my requirement for that, and he said he had to think about it. About 2 months ago, he had a work trip that lasted a week and a half, and when he returned, he was all over me. At the time, I was going through a difficult depression. I suffer from depression, and sometimes it gets really bad. He seemed annoyed and remarked that I was punishing him for missing and loving me so much, and he held my face and started kissing me again. After the back and forth for a few more minutes, I just gave up and we had intimacy. In the middle of it, he asked if he could take off the rubber, and I said no, but he said he had a vasectomy. He was so excited to get me in bed that he had forgotten to tell me. I stupidly said, well, all right then. After that, he would forget the rubbers altogether, until my cycle was off. At first, I figured it was stress, a change in diet, or a billion other possible reasons, but this nagging feeling came over me and I got tested. Pregnant. He found me crying on his bathroom floor and asked what was wrong, so I told him and he smiled and laughed, "Really? That's amazing, baby," and left me there, and he went whooping through the other room. When he came back, he was rattling off so much info. He had a dream about this, and now it's happening, so it must be a sign. My brain finally caught up, and I asked about the vasectomy, and he said it was not 100% right. Like rubbers and pills. I was puzzled as the only goalie we took out of the equation was rubbers. He said it was a miracle, and I told him not. I explained that my best friend lives in a different state, and I will be going to visit and also benefit from the reproductive health clinics there. He went silent. He asked me if I hated him that much, and I didn't understand. I said I never wanted to be pregnant and that he knew this about me. That hasn't changed. He became extremely angry with me, saying I wouldn't dare unalive his child and that if I loved him, I would never threaten that again. He explained that he would take care of us. He makes plenty of money, and don't I treat you like a queen? So all he is asking is that I have the baby. I said I needed to go and started packing to go home, and he followed me repeating things like, "You won't though, right? You won't unalive my baby?" And stuff like that. He kept asking where I was going, and I said home. I was too tired and emotional right now, and I want to go home. He stepped in the doorway and said no, and we need to talk about this. I started to get upset as he was blocking me, and I felt trapped. I asked him to move, and he said no. I asked him again if I wanted to go home, and he said no again. He said, "You are not leaving. What part of that don't you get?" I started crying and grabbed my phone and backed away from him, telling him to stay away from me. Finn looked sad and said I couldn't be serious. He would never hurt me and asked me to stop crying. I demanded he let me leave, and he did. He has since been calling and texting me begging me to talk to him. He says I hurt him by pretending to be scared of him, as I know he would never hurt me. He said he treats me like a goddess and I played the helpless victim card, and that things like that can ruin a man's life. He then said that I wasn't thinking straight and, is your brain lying to you again? When I have a PTSD or depressive episode, one sometimes say, my brain is lying to me again, to make it seem like a less heavy topic. He has a very community-facing job, and I remembered the look on his face when I backed away. I don't want to ruin his life or our relationship. In the moment, my emotions were so high that I just reacted. But I wasn't pretending. I sat in my car for God knows how long, shaking before I could drive home. I've been ignoring his reaching out, but I feel like a coward. Ada? Update. He broke up with me and called me an unaliver. So I made an appointment and got the abortion. It was honestly such a horrible experience, but my bestie was with me and the whole staff was so kind and supportive, so I am grateful. Thank you to those who encouraged me to get it done. It was awful, but pregnancy and being trapped with him would have been much worse. Finn texted Wednesday and apologized and said he said things he didn't mean and to please answer my phone as I have been ignoring him. When he called again, my bestie recorded it all. Before I could finish hello, he went on a long bit about how amazing I am, how much he loves me, what a great mother he knows I will be, and he will marry me immediately if that's a concern of mine. When I finally got to talk, I said that I am no longer pregnant and I never want to be, and that I was clear about this from the beginning. He asked if it was a miscarriage and then said, because I know you wouldn't willingly unalive our child, right? Say right. It's a miscarriage. I got quiet and he said that it's okay, miscarriages are not the female's fault, and that we can just try again. I said, again? We weren't trying to begin with. I was on birth control and he had the vasectomy, and you all guessed it, he laughed and said he lied about the vasectomy so I would give up on condoms, that he long decided I was perfect and he loved me and wanted me to be the mother of his kids. My best friend spoke up and said that was recorded and to leave me alone or she would post it on social media, and he started screaming at us. He then sounded like he was crying and said I was a witch for this, that I am a hateful unaliver and that I broke his heart. He went on to say if I tried to slander him to remember actions have consequences. He then broke up with me and said he would check back with me in a few days when I was alone and we would talk in person to see if I had come to my senses. He wants us to go to church together on Sunday, which is now today, and set a time to pick me up. I said no, but I do have a ring cam, and sure enough, he showed up at my door. I watched him note my car was not there, and at my front door on camera, he texted me asking if I was sleeping around on him and if I let the other man ride you like a wild horse, without a rubber, and if so he gets a hall pass. He said to come home immediately as we need to come to an understanding of our relationship ASAP. I return home tomorrow and don't know what to do. Edit. Anyone who wants to shame my abortion, I have zero regrets and actually will advocate for them from now on. But I will happily mock you in the comments. Thanks, actually, you reminded me how little an opinion means to me if it's coming from a disrespectful and or bigoted place. At least I get to laugh through this nightmare. Edit 2. I won't be going home alone any longer. Bestie is coming with me, and I have a friend in the city I live with my spare key, and he is now in my home watching it for me.